Hi, and welcome to the Thinking Out Loud podcast, a show with intelligent and meaningful
What? The
conversations.
bar is Mhm.
It's set high. These,
On all days, of all days,
oh,
I mean, on this day, when I woke up literally 15 minutes ago, and you want this conversation to be intellectual. Thank you.
all right, great. So, uh, but you broke the intro, Masha, or did I
Yes,
break it?
I don't know.
All
No.
right. Well, a show with meaningful conversations in English with non-natives like myself, Jendrik.
And myself, Masha,
And it so happens that we are two English teachers who,
mm, who walk their talk.
wait a second, let me digest that. Who walk there. Talk? Is that
Yeah.
what is that?
Do we walk our talk? Let's
You
say,
mean
okay, do we practice what we preach?
oh, that's
Ooh.
the thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. First, what are we actually preaching here?
That not here, but in
I-
your classroom. What do you preach in your classroom?
Be yourself. Don't
Oh,
be
very
afraid.
interesting. Okay, be yourself. Okay, I'm
Yeah.
gonna need this. Hmm.
What else do I actually? I wonder what is my overall message. I think my message is similar to the late Pope John Paul II. Don't be afraid. You know. So I'm claiming higher and higher, status. But yeah, I think this is the
Don't
overall
be afraid.
message. And
It's something like the similar to my favorite one. If you want to be happy, be happy. You know,
oh, that's cool.
that's cool. That's it. That's the only thing you need to know in this life.
There
If
is
you
a
never
there
listen
is
to
a
any guru, then
There is a nice poster. I promise I will take a picture or even detach it from the wall in our kitchen in the co-working where I am working from. And there's a poster. You have probably seen that kind of poster. It's just full of words or letters, that make up words. And there are some kind of motivational, or I don't know how to name this, stuff like if you don't like something, change it.
yeah, if you want to be
I mean,
happy,
yeah,
be
be
happy.
happy. I mean, and then what's stopping you?
Yeah, what's stopping it?
All
So
right,
that's don't
but
be afraid. It's something along these lines. Yeah.
yeah, Masha, I'm coming back to what you asked about this. What are we preaching, or let's say promoting?
let's
Maybe
let's
preaching
say
is.
how did you stop being afraid?
You mean
Talking about
in languages? In
your
languages.
last
I know,
text,
I
of
know
course.
what you are driving at.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, y- um, there's not like one element or one particular event, but I have definitely opened my eyes. Um, once I got a little bit more international. So once again, I'm speaking also about my first trip to an international conference, which was in 2015, and that was Innovate ELT in Barcelona, and it was for me the first, I think, yes, the first international event I attended for teachers, and it was also where I felt not like discomfort is too big a word, but I felt like, wow, I studied such a long time, and I'm like a kid, in this environment that is English speaking, of course, or even if not 100% native, then at least there are people who are really, really well versed in English.
Hmm.
Yeah, and for me that was an experience, like, I felt like, wow, I'm lacking something, right? I'm lacking
Yeah,
something, and
but your
then,
text read to me as if you kind of stopped being afraid because you discovered that you have this another value, that you have something
yeah,
to.
but this happened later, of course, because the first reaction was like, oh my God, I have to work on my English, I have to I don't know, keep learning, just to, get more fluent and so on.
Yeah, but this is what a
But
lot of
then,
most of our
yeah.
students feel. They are more interested in the second experience. So how did you, what changed? And from what I read, it feels like this this understanding that you have something to say, that you
Hmm. Yes.
that 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 made you forget about
Exactly. I
English.
mean, it
Yeah.
wasn't a my conscious decision, It was just
Mhm.
like, okay, I came back from the conference thinking that, okay, I need to brush up on my English because it's bad, and I'm a kind of like a dummy, among my colleagues. And then I didn't have time to brush up on my English because, there were a lot of things going on in my life, including my own setting up my own school, getting married, and so on. There was no time. I mean, at
Mhm.
least this is how
Mhm.
I explain it to myself. And in the meantime, as you know, I was setting up a school, and I was also working on, let's say, the methodology of that school, as if. And I think I found something that I was passionate about, and I mean conversations, and I mean conversation questions. This is when, when I discovered that this thing is a little bit neglected in our industry, that the conversations that we are having in the classrooms, in ELT, are kind of, say that, underdeveloped. Let me put it like this, because they were intrusive, very, private oriented, and very often they were naive, and
Yeah,
so
you
on and
you
so forth.
developed your own, let's call it
Yes.
method. But does it mean that the first time you went to Barcelona, you simply had nothing to say? So it was not uh, re- rephrasing what you
Oh, it's a
say
good
many
question,
times.
because
Many times
obviously,
it means that.
I already had my, vision of teaching and everything, right?
So if your
Except,
English level hasn't changed, it means that at that time it was not linguistic. Um, how do you always say it? It was not about the
progress.
language. Yes, it was not
I'm
about the
sorry.
language. It was that
Yeah.
simply you had nothing to say. And this is why you felt bad. But at that time, maybe you didn't understand it because your English
Masha, it's
level.
maybe a little bit different because, if you are, let's say, in an informal setting, I mean, literally drinking beer
Mhm.
with, I don't know, 5, 7 people at a table, and you're having a spontaneous conversation, not necessarily about teaching.
Okay.
This is where I felt kind of, oh my God, this conversation is running away from me. I can't jump on that train, which is going pretty fast. People are chipping in,
So
new
that what changed
ideas.
if your English didn't change?
I stopped bothering about it.
How? This is what people need
Yeah,
to
but
know.
yeah, this is what people need to know. I mean, um, I think it's literally, is the way I feel it, Masha, is that I stopped really caring so much about, oh, where's my English, why do I don't understand, why can't I react in time, or this sort. I mean, these fears or anxieties, they just receded, you know and how did that happen? I mean, I found, I mean, I sort of acknowledged myself, my identity, the fact that I am not a native speaker, or and basically I somehow acknowledged that I'm valuable, despite not being, as proficient as perhaps I wanted to say, as others, maybe. And I'm not even sure if I'm sorry, I'm not even sure if at the end, what is that proficiency? Are we actually testing people there? Are we giving them some CPE or something to write? I mean, we are not, right? These are
No, but
impressions.
imagine,
These are impressions, individual impressions. You feel like you're comparing yourself constantly, comparing yourself to others.
yeah, we're always, of course, comparing ourselves to others. So
Yeah.
what you're saying is you just
And
stopped
I think I
comparing and you
stopped
stopped
doing that.
caring.
I
Yes,
stopped
you stopped
doing that. I stopped comparing.
Right. Okay.
And I sort of decided that I am who I am, and I still have something to contribute. If I'm a bit slower in English than I am in my native language, fine, let it be like this. I embraced this new identity of mine, that is somebody who's a little bit slower, a little bit more introverted.
Yeah, but let me, okay, demonstrate it using a different why I felt like, coming from a guy like you, it doesn't look like exactly a Cinderella story. So, for example, if you are, I don't know, Ryan Gosling in Barbie, and you say, well, I just stopped comparing myself to Arnold Schwarzenegger. I just know that, I'm not going to be like him. And if you are me and say, well, I just stopped comparing myself with Arnold Schwarzenegger, it's a little bit different stories. Okay. Do you understand what I mean?
Do I catch your drift? Not 100%. What do you mean? You mean that?
Well, because our students, when they're listening to you,
Yeah.
they kind of say, oh my
Oh, I
God,
see.
this person,
Mhm.
okay, yeah, he stopped comparing himself to a native speaker being maybe 1 inch. You have very
Mhm.
little left to get there. And they are
Yeah,
still,
I agree. I agree. Of course,
and they
I
need,
played.
people ask
Look,
this all the time, that they need
yes,
something.
yes.
Give them something if you're
I
offering
know,
this
I know. Of
story.
course, I played in a different league, right? I went to a teachers' conference, and moreover, very soon I started presenting in public at international conferences. Of course, I mean it's a different league, right? It's not like I'm fighting for survival or something. It was more about, in my case, it was more about mm, really, I think the ultimate level, because there is a certain level where you can get to, right, in language learning, I think.
Yes, yes, yes.
And there is this mythical native speaker like proficiency, right? Which I think is
Let's
symbolized by
not
C2
use
level.
let's not use native speaker proficiency. Because many students they tell me, Jesus, I feel like a 2-year-old when I'm speaking English, and it's so
Hmm.
debilitating, it's so humiliating because I know what I'm capable of, expressing myself in
Hmm.
my language. So when
Hmm.
will I have this freedom? We're not talking about native speaker proficiency. We're just talking about being very, very confident and not having to think for, you know 10 seconds to find the word. This level. And
Yeah,
people are not there. It's natural that they want to get there. And we are just sometimes telling them, oh, come on, relax. Just stop comparing yourself to others. It sounds, I catch myself doing this very often because, I think it's my job to tell people to,
mhm.
stop comparing themselves. But I don't know if I'm always doing a good thing. I don't know what else
It's
I can do.
interesting. Just yesterday, I met with a new student, mm, and this was yet another case of uh, somehow. Mm, what's the name, Masha, for if you actually present yourself lower or smaller than you really are?
Down
It's
playing.
downplaying yourself. Well, let's call it like, yeah, a lot of students, a lot of people who get in touch with me, they are actually downplaying their skills, their capabilities. And
You
once
don't mean
again,
that they are genuinely,
no,
they genuinely think that
no,
they
I mean, a lot of, I mean, speaking a foreign language, it's, I always say that 30% language, 70% mental aspect, you know, psychology. And of course, I don't want to sound, you know, like some kind of a um, shaman, you know, telling people that, oh, you should just believe in yourself and then everything suddenly falls into place. But it's true that very often we have, it was exactly my case, right? We have this ideal in our head, which is, of course, the L1 first language proficiency. Like we all have it, right? We all speak one language at least perfectly, or at least we think so. And we would like to copy that kind of level in the second language, right? To feel exactly as free as we feel in our first language. But that is a little trap, right? Because the second language you may never actually reach that level. You have to accept
yeah.
certain limitations. You have to accept that also your personality is slightly changed. But the second language, what it's doing, if you allow it to, it will, you know, um, try and maybe not it will try to squash. What's the name for that? You know,
You
if you
see,
think
it's
about, you know, it
intellectual.
will try to yeah. But the second language, you know, the quality of that of using any second language is that, you know, it will try and tell you that you are nothing, you know, that you know nothing, and there is always, you know, a long way to go, right? I wish I was searching for a phrase, you know, that you know what's happening in the military when, you know, the higher in the ranks, like lieutenant, is what is he doing to the privates? Scolding them, but it's not even scolding. It's here, you know, it's showing them how insignificant they are, you know.
Destroying their ego.
Yeah, this yeah. But the language, yeah, the language
Listen
will
to our
do that.
previous episode about ego and self-esteem.
Yes.
And
Yeah, exactly.
subscribe and click. Brum, brum, brum.
Yeah, click the link on. Yeah. So, Masha, yeah, that's what's happening. Language is working like this a little bit on your psyche, on your, you know, mental side, and it's really important to resist. It's really important to embrace the fact that this is a second language. What I try to tell people, and it's also something that I embraced myself, is that you may be slightly a different person in the second language, but still your intellectual qualities will be retained. You know, your clarity of thinking and a lot of things will be the same. You may be just, you know, slower in reactions and so on, but it's not a big deal. It's not a big deal. That's what I think I learned myself, and yeah, and this is what I'm also trying to tell people who I work with, because it's often, really often the case. I know there are people who are simply lacking fundamental things like, you know, grammar, vocab, of course, you know, but these are things that you can relatively quickly fix. You know? What is next is that, you know, the next level is working on the mental side, you know, that is sort of adapting to the new you in the second language. And I think
Oh, I
it's
wish
super
this
important.
message wouldn't get lost, because sometimes, you know, with that, I don't want people to say, you know, forget about grammar and vocab. Don't work on your language.
No,
You know,
no.
go to therapist and spend, you know, 1 hour in therapy, and
Yeah.
you will fix this 70%, and miraculously your English will be, whatever level you want. No, I think that we need to be, sometimes we just forget maybe about this, or we don't communicate this clearly, that we want people to improve, yes, their English. It's important, but it's not the only thing you need to do.
I say, that because, this linguistic aspect of language, I mean, grammar, vocab, and pronunciation potentially, they keep improving when you use the language. They keep improving, right? I mean, you keep somehow working on it when you produce the language,
Yeah, but
when
people
you
are afraid
get it.
to use the language because of the 70%
Yeah,
not.
yeah. But I am also far away from these charlatans who run weekend courses, and they claim that after attending my course for just one weekend and paying, of course, $1,000 or $7,000, then you suddenly learn the language. What they are doing, of course, is they are working on that 70%. They are, of course, sort of convincing people that they are capable and so on. And truly, after a course like that, people go out and they feel like, whoa, I really unlocked some secret potential in me. This is how the coaches make money, but this is a relatively short-term effect, because then you find yourself 1 week later, 1 month later, in a situation where you have to speak and you're suddenly like blocked again. Language is showing you your place in the rank, and you need another coaching session, right? But I wonder what happened to me that the change was like more durable. I think it's a complex process, and not to mention that after all, I am an English teacher, and like you said, Masha, it wasn't like I had some fundamental problems with grammar or lexis.
Exactly. Maybe
And
your
I keep
English was very
it,
good to begin with, and you just saw it.
yeah, it's true. But even speaking with you each week here, I of course I stumble across difficulties. I can find words and so on. I think it's audible, but I just don't
But
care.
you can maintain a 1 hour conversation, so.
I can, yeah, of course, which is in itself it is something. But at the same time, I think that yeah, focusing on the message instead of the form should be the general principle. Concentrate on the message of getting the message across, even if formally it's, let's say, imperfect. But this form of the language keeps improving while you use the language. So, this is sort of a vicious circle because I'm afraid to use the language. I need to first work on my form, but it's actually, I think it's better if you concentrate on the message, and then the form will gradually improve in the background without you even knowing that it's improving, because this is how it's happening. These are some automatic processes.
Yeah.
I
What
always
about
say that.
the second message there? I mean, do you stand by this that you need to find some kind of value in yourself, like you did, that will
Yes,
help?
yes, it's very important to secure that perimeter, that linguistic failures don't touch you personally, don't touch your essence. It's super important to protect yourself, because language will second language will keep telling you that you are nothing. This is this lieutenant that is treating ordinary soldiers like trash. But you have to
But it was
resist.
not about protecting. You had to find something. You had to
Well,
develop.
yeah,
In your
but
case,
but it's
it's
how
the
you
method.
protect. I mean, it's like finding a shield. It's like finding a shield. How are you going to protect yourself against, let's be frank, humiliation coming from linguistic failures? Because very often, you mix up the words. I know you make a blunder here and there. You confuse something. This is normal stuff. This is happening daily in foreign languages. But you have to have a shield that will protect you against this sort of feelings, right? Because, you know, if they accumulate, they will push you totally out of using the second language, which is bad, right? And I think that if you, once again, shift the emphasis from the form to the message, and you have the message, this is important, right? Or you have something inside of you that speaks about your value, which absolutely everybody has, you know. So it's just in my case, it was, you know, certain maybe methodology, maybe certain, you know, different point of view on teaching conversation classes and so on. It was a certain value that, let's say, was sort of unique. But I think also that if you are honest, I don't know, if you are yourself, you know, whatever that means, you know, then this is also a source of tremendous power, you know, in communication. Um, it's not like, of course, and there are people who are professionals, you know, in various domains. They can also stick to it, you know. I know what I'm doing. I know my job, you know. I am, you know, an engineer. I am a sales person. I am this or that, you know, and I know my trade. And this trade could be the source of value. It doesn't have, I think now, of course, it you can take it from your profession, but you may also take it from just from the inside of you, you know. I know who I am. I am, for example, a Polish person. I'm proud of being Polish, you know, and I don't care if I mispronounce some words from time to time, you know. I this is there are
Some
a lot
people
of
pay
things,
tons
yeah.
and tons of money to find the self-worth. And
Yeah, yeah,
so, you know,
yes,
don't start learning a foreign language until, or it will crush you, you know.
yeah.
Speaking like a Jedi.
Yeah, yeah. I think, you know, yeah, but this is what is happening in foreign languages, you know, and it's very important to hedge yourself against that. I would call it destructive influence of the second language, destructive on your identity, destructive on your self-esteem, of course. These are really important things, you know. You have to find a shield, and yeah, in my case, like I said, it was a mix, of course, of different things. Well, another shield, of course, is what perfect have a perfect language, right? Perfect your language, and this is what people naturally think that, hey, this is the best shield. Let me learn the language. God damn it, you know. Let me learn my grammar. Let me absorb the whole dictionary, and I'll have the vocab. And let me perfect my pronunciation. This is theoretically a very good shield if you do it, but I think it's costly. I think it's super boring, and I think it doesn't work as well in practice as it sounds in theory, you know. Because I think that even if, you know, I keep repeating this. This is if you ask about a message or what I'm preaching about. I say that absorbing the dictionary will not guarantee that you will speak sense. No, that
This is
your
I'm
messages.
already creating a book in my head. It's my hero goes on this quest, you know, of perfecting their language, and he finds this shield, you know, and his language is perfect, only to discover that he has nothing to say. This is the end of the book.
Yeah, I mean, in that case, you know, if you think about grammar and the language, basically, if you want to protect yourself from humiliation in speaking a foreign language by perfecting your grammar, it's like finding a very powerful weapon, like, you know, a sword that is so powerful that, you know, that it can kill everybody, you know, with just one hack, you know. But but this is one thing, and as you know, a lot of legends, cartoons, and other things that at the end, it is not the sword, the weapon that counts, but it is your heart, that is
Which
your
must not be
pure,
cold.
which must not
If you
be
want, you can
cold,
listen to an
exactly.
episode about cold.
Yeah, click here. And it's naturally,
Jesus,
Masha,
soon
that,
we'll have references to every single
after
part.
so many episodes recorded, I mean, we can, have these hyperlinks coming, in each paragraph.
Mhm.
But, and you can defeat the strongest enemy with your heart alone, not with, the greatest weapon, sword, or whatnot, So at the end, this is
Another
what.
Cinderella story. Poor people are just sitting with their pens and notebooks and waiting for some sound advice, how to finally
Move
start
forward with.
speaking this goddamn language. And we
Yeah.
talk about swords and self-worth.
No, Masha, but this problem of starting speaking is so common to many people. But I think that I have been pretty successful in my career in convincing people that you can really start speaking, because starting speaking is not so much about the form; it's more about the message, And this is why the meaningful conversations, or intelligent, Masha, if you will. This is why, I think I devoted my career to meaningful conversations with people, and not to just blabbing about, your last weekend, or I don't know what else, some kind of silly stuff. We are doing very serious things in this podcast, Masha, in our classes as well, because it's pretty much the same thing. This is how it looks like, but we are basically orienting ourselves on the meaning, on something that the message, right? And the message carries a meaning, and that's, and this meaningful conversations, they engage people beyond language. They engage their emotions, they engage their intellect, of course. And this is where meaning is created, and everybody is adding something from themselves. It's great. I will come back to the meeting from yesterday. A person who was claiming that, I'm zero, I'm nothing, I am, totally bad. My language, I hear my own mistakes, when I speak, and so on, which is great, by the way. But
It's
at the
great
end,
hearing your own mistakes or the person's
I
language.
think, yes,
Just
it sounds, yeah. I mean, it's a great moment when you hear your own mistakes. I mean, so why not correct it? I mean, if you know that you make mistakes, that's great. I think this realization.
yeah,
That's
but
my
the
opinion.
mistake is already out there, which is
Well, yeah, but that is, in languages you can correct everything that's out there. I mean, this is what, I self-correction. It's called self-correction. No, Masha, because maybe a good reason to have another lecture, but exactly this. People are afraid that, I said something, I made a blunder, then take it back and correct it. I mean, this is what languages are. I mean, spoken language is about.
yeah. To call it a blunder, you need to first understand that it's a blunder, and if you're able to
Yeah, but
understand that
remember,
it means
in
that
the last episode, you can hear me saying tooths.
really.
Yeah, I said that, and then I just took it
Oh
back.
my
Sorry,
God!
teeth.
And you didn't even edit
No,
or
I took it back. I took it back. I took it back. I
didn't
mean,
even notice. Oh,
yeah,
that's the
but I said
danger.
it. But I said it, and then I corrected myself. It's fine. We move on. I mean, what? I just made a plural out of I mean, it was logical to say tooths,
Oh,
but actually there's a different plural,
don't you
teeth.
sometimes do it in your own language? I do.
Of course, of course, of course. It was. I mean, and but for some people, it may be the source of humiliation. Oh my God, I made a mistake there, and so on. Well, you can take it back. You can repair it. You can correct yourself and so on. But coming back to my student, and we had a fantastic conversation later on, so that you sort of forget about your limitations, because there's the message. I want to deliver, because I have the message in whichever language it is, the language of the thought, and that's it, and you want to deliver it because you have some nice uh, associations in your head. You know what you want to say, and that's it. And this is the power of meaningful conversations, and not just
So the
mm,
bottom line is have the message, be yourself, don't be afraid. If you want to be happy, be happy.
Masha, almost like exactly 100%. Yes,
I think this could
100%.
be the last episode ever, There is nothing
Masha,
else
how
to
about
say.
how about I say this? If you want to speak, speak.
You need a t-shirt with this.
Yeah,
phrase.
exactly. No, we are joking. I hope our listeners are not feeling down listening to us, to people who somehow learned the language, the second language. But we are I think what makes us different is that I don't know, we just don't care so much about making. Do you actually care about making mistakes?
Of course I do. Of course I do.
All right,
And
but
learning a language for me, it was hard work. I don't know about you, but I
it
it's
was,
hard.
but it was pleasant too. I mean,
Yeah,
I can't
of
say
course.
that. Oh my God, I was, I don't know what,
Yeah, it
I
didn't
was
feel like
suffering.
learning, like studying, maths or physics, God forbid. No, it was really fun, but it was hard work at the same time.
And the people who know maths, they actually say that it's easy, because once you grasp maths, it's
Yeah,
probably easier than languages. Probably because with languages there's
I will
still a lot
never
of
know.
memorizing and so on. But yeah, but okay, great. Anyway, that's the message. Thanks, Masha, for asking me, because you said that my text from the last newsletter about my transformation, and so on, was a little bit hypocritical.
Yeah, this is how
It
it felt a
sounded
little bit.
hypocritical that there's a guy who who studied
Made
English
it.
for 5 years, yeah, and then the poor guy went to an international conference and then transformed himself. No, but I really feel like both these international events and our podcast, for example, is helping me a lot. It's helping me a lot. These weekly conversations that we are recording. I wasn't like this 2 years ago, or Masha, when did we start? In 1997, right? feels like
Where
feels
was
like this show has been running forever. But
I? Was not even married. Oh,
yeah, but
this is the year when I went to the USA, and this is actually where when my
you've
English,
been to the US.
yeah,
Oh,
twice,
I've never been to the US. Oh my goodness. All right.
but only
I have
3 weeks.
never been
3 weeks.
I have never been outside of Europe. No, sorry,
Oh.
I was once in Istanbul. I crossed the Bosphorus Strait. Okay, right. I was in Asia. But
Mm-hmm.
come on, what sort of Asia is that? I mean, it was the same city, but geographically, this was the only
I lived in
place.
Asia for 5 years in Far East.
Oh, what?
Yeah, but I was very little
I didn't know this. All right, great. I mean, wow, look at you,
because we never have personal conversations. You know very little about my life.
Yeah, I know very little about your life. And when you said last time we never met offline or in real life, let's call it like this. Yeah, I think if we met, we would have these sort of more private conversations, I guess.
Maybe.
All right, but it's not. Do I need to know
No, I think we would keep
where
talking
the
about
young
ego
Masha
and
was?
self-esteem.
But do I need to know where young Masha was traveling and so on? I mean, I think I know a lot about you, but I may not know the details, private details, but I know a lot about you from in between the lines, the way you think, the way you react, the way you reason, and so on. I think this is very important. It's like I remember the question from the database. What's the difference between knowing somebody and
Knowing a lot about somebody, knowing.
yeah, exactly. And I think we may even have had an episode about this.
Oh, we might have, of course.
Yeah, well, for so many episodes that we have already recorded. Great. Fine. Masha, what's left for us
On
to
the
say?
agenda.
Yeah, exactly.
Ooh.
Because time-wise, we are not so so well positioned to open a Pandora box.
My note, there's a be yourself thing. Is my actually question was, it might be a very, very very short discussion in the end, because maybe
Oh,
there's
that's great.
simply nothing to it. But this is about being yourself, because I have a student who is in HR, and we talk a lot about this, interview stuff, and read tons of articles about this. And what they say, when you want to kill it during a job interview, you have to, on the one hand, be yourself, but on the other hand, you have to make a good impression. Do you think making a good impression is it pretending? Does it mean pretending? What does it mean, make a good impression?
Oh, to make a good impression. I like that. Oh, it's a perfect question. I think let me add it to my database.
Be my
It's
guest.
I think it will always depend on the other side, on the context, because I think that when it comes to job interviews, of which I know very, very little, I have been maybe to one or two
Okay,
interviews
think of a
in my
date. I'm
life.
sure you've had a couple of dates in your life.
Oh, I had lots of dates.
Mm.
But you mean making a good impression? I think it's different when you talk about a date and we talk about a job interview, to be honest.
I don't think it
Although
is.
you don't think so?
You will put on some clean shirt, and try not to poke your nose and whatever. Try and be who you are not in your everyday life. That's the bottom line.
Yeah, I have a problem with that because the question, who are you in the everyday life? The one picking your nose and farting occasionally?
You see? No,
Oh,
no,
I
no,
wish
no,
I
no,
had
no, 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 no. No farting sound.
Okay,
I
but
will not stop you from doing this by withdrawing the
all right.
permission.
All right, great. But I think making a good impression, um, what impresses one person doesn't impress the other person.
You mean that
So what
during job
impresses
interview they will be looking at your professional skills, but today, no, they are also very, very interested in your so-called soft skills, which means what kind of person you are. They really want
well,
to know that.
if you want to ace a job interview and this is a job that you really want, and this is, let's say, an employer that you want to work for, then I think the best case scenario would be that you are yourself, you don't pretend, and they appreciate this and they hire you because your values and their values are similar. But this is rarely the case because very often you need a job right here, right now. My budget is running low. I need a job. And this, means that I will basically adapt. I will try to mimic, my interviewer, in terms of this is, what I learned from Charles Duhigg, the super communicators. You mimic the energy level, the mood, and of course, there's a way to communicate with others, which could be even artificially designed. It's all about mimicking. It's all about kind of fitting in. And imagine you do this, and they say, "Whoa, what a great guy!" We met a really great guy. We had a great conversation. We were at the same wavelengths. Great, let's hire him. Or her. But the question is, this is something I would like to ask Charles Duhigg. Isn't it like, is the goal in life to always communicate? I mean, even with people you don't want to communicate with. I mean, I have a problem with this because I was always, at the position that you should be yourself, and if others don't understand you, sorry. I mean, it's natural to have misunderstandings or being understood at all costs. In other words, is maybe not the point in life. That everybody should understand you. Everybody should say you're a cool guy, a great conversation partner.
Yeah, understanding is you're, hogging my question, but what I'm trying to understand is, if you, from what you said, it's like, if you want a job or let's say a one night stand, making a good impression is feasible strategy. But if you want a career or a marriage, then making a good impression, basically how I see it, pretending who you're not, will get you into a lot of trouble. You cannot make a good impression all your life. You cannot wake up every morning with the perfect makeup. You can, but it will cost you. And
Yes.
at your, at work, you cannot. How long can you, be the best? I don't know. Is it making good impression? Is it being the best version of yourself? Because if it is, then
No, no, no,
no,
it's not.
it's not.
Very nice, Masha. I think, come on. And good. Sorry, I'm taking it down live on air because otherwise I will forget.
Oh, you don't have to note it. It will be online. This episode, you
Oh,
can.
you're right. I could listen
Yeah,
to it.
yeah.
I never do, but okay.
Oh, come on, it's you who's.
I think, mm, there is, it's not like a switch on off because uh, behaving in a civilized manner, let's say, not picking your nose and, not farting and so on, unless you're in Germany, then I think it's not about the best version of yourself, it's just about respecting, I don't know, some common rules of good behavior.
Yeah, if it was, yeah, of course, it's an extreme.
So yeah, I don't think also that, picking your nose and feeding the lowest instincts, it's when you are yourself. This is what we sometimes say, that when people are drunk, this is what they truly are. This is their true nature that surfaces. When you are drunk and you do all the crazy things. But this is not true. This is I don't think you are yourself when you are drunk. And it may be easier for you to say some things when you are drunk, but I also don't believe that this is what this is exactly what you feel. This is exactly who you are. And so
No, but
the
this what the same with when people have had a stroke, and
Mhm,
very often some part of the brain which is responsible for this, socially accepted behavior. I don't know how it is called. It gets damaged, and people.
mhm,
mm, and very often people say that this is who he truly was in life, but was able to suppress some,
mhm,
urges
mhm,
and desires. But
mhm,
once this
mhm.
part of the brain gets damaged, you see who the person really is. But this is again not exactly um, the case, because I mean, it's even to your credit that you have been able all this time to control these things, that you've
Yeah.
developed such, the same with the drunkenness, I think.
Hmm. I don't know actually what does it mean um to make
Okay,
a
this
good
is another
impression.
conversation about drunkenness.
No, no, I
Sorry,
mean it's a great question, because I'm thinking about, mm, working in big companies where you are actually never yourself. There is this plastic smile that you wear. There is that kind of course, maybe I'm using stereotypes right now, right? But I think you can never truly allow yourself to be yourself, to tell your boss what you really feel, to show some kind of weaknesses, because it's going to be used against you simply. In big organizations, this is what is happening. You show your weakness to your boss, at a meeting. Okay, fine, we are friends, but then they are going to find a moment when they're going to use it against you.
But
I
why is it
think,
only about big corporations? When I'm with my students having a class,
well,
I'm not going to,
yeah.
tell them about how I feel and, that my cat
Well,
is missing.
big corporations, because there is some kind of a struggle for power, right? I mean, some people go up, some people go down, or stay in the same place.
Okay.
And I think there is a huge rivalry in big organizations. It may not be, officially, proclaimed, but it's an open secret. Everybody's, trying to outmaneuver the other one, or keep their position, or get higher, and so on. I think this is sort of natural, and mm, I think that you have to be really careful in such environment, showing who you really are, or what are your true feelings. Let's say that you hate your job, but you can't say it. I mean, you know
What about in a marriage, in a relationship? You think you can truly be
this is
yourself
different. This
100%?
is different, because I think the goal of marriage is different than the goal of a career, right? I mean, I think I have changed in my marriage. If I compare myself today to myself, I know, a decade ago, when I
You
wasn't
have
married.
changed or the marriage changed you?
I think, well, it's both, right? You don't know, the chicken and egg problem. I
Well,
mean, it's I think I have changed. I was definitely, I remember that again, I'll be speaking about my wife. I say hi to her if she's listening. But I was different, and speaking of this good impression, I was not who I am before. I think a little bit, I tried, you always, but it was, of course, out of good intentions. I wanted to
are you talking
impress
about this
her.
honeymoon period? You were
Honeymoon,
not
or
total.
even before,
Oh,
before we
courting.
actually, courting. Yes, before, before we got engaged. When you get engaged, it's kind of like, okay, this is it's a
Ooh,
bit easier.
yeah.
Oof, yeah. She
I
said
got that ring on
yes.
her finger. Yeah.
Yes,
Now
yes,
I can be
exactly.
myself and drink
I can be,
beer and
yeah.
fart and and
Yeah,
burp.
but I think, this is a strange period in life, when you try hard. And I don't want to say it's pretending, because you really try hard. But at the same time, this trying hard doesn't um, somehow reflect who you really are, because you are yourself when you're at ease, when
When you're
I don't
not
want to say
not
that,
trying to
I'm
make a
not,
good impression.
I don't want to say I'm not buying flowers anymore, because actually I do, buy flowers from time to
Because
time,
you know that
and,
this is
and
what
so
you're supposed to be doing from time to time.
on. Masha, come on. But uh, it's a little bit, you feel more at ease, I would say. This is, and this is, Masha, exactly what I felt after that Barcelona thing, and so on, to feel more at ease with myself. Stop pretending, stop um stop trying. It's not what I want to say. It's not what I want to say, but it's very hard for me to put my finger on it. But you feel more at ease. It's a little bit like getting engaged or even getting married. And I don't mean lowering your standards or lowering, that bar that, finally, I don't have to do anything. Now you do the dishes, and I'll be on my couch. No, it's absolutely not like this. But whatever you are doing afterwards, it's more natural. You're more yourself. You know that, a little mistake here or there will not cancel your chances, or you know, it's generally feeling more at ease, and this is when you are yourself. And I don't think you are at ease at a job interview when you want to make a good impression. You're totally not at ease unless the conversation is really nice, and it feels kind of friendly and so on. But yeah, you're tight-assed all the
Yeah, but
time.
interview, it's like, this courting period, I'm telling you. And I remember now, you probably haven't seen, of course, this film, The Beautiful Mind, about John Nash, a mathematician, with
Hmm.
my favorite actor. And his character, he was a very socially, I don't know, socially awkward is not even doing it. He's, in a nutshell, he never, ever, ever bothered to make a good impression. And nevertheless, he managed to procure a girl, and he told her out, straight on that, um, what I want right now is I just want to have sex with you, but I know that I have to go through the motions to get it. And and she totally understood that she appreciated that he was being so honest and was not trying to make a good impression. And maybe when they got married, she didn't have any surprises about him, because he was never trying to make this good impression.
It is Basha too complex,
Maybe his marriage was so successful. Well, he was crazy. He had
maybe,
schizophrenia, but
maybe. It's very interesting what you have opened here, with this courting and everything. I You may correct me if I am wrong, of course, but I read a commentary somewhere. Can't remember who was making it, but there was um, it was, I think, early during this horrible invasion, on your country and so on. And someone said there was, somebody, there was a lot of articles about Russia, about everything, and somebody said that the basic difference between France and Russia when it comes to the morals and, the behavior, especially the men-women relationships, is that in France, you will court the lady. You will buy flowers. You will, buy chocolates, whatever gifts you will try, and so on before you go to the bed, which may not, be
very accurate description of
very accurate description exactly in the times of Tinder and so on. But let's say, and there was a comparison with Russia where a man can openly ask, okay, are we going to fuck to the hotel? And I'm not, of course, I'm the one to say, yeah, you are frowning. That is, I think, was a French commentator writing this. So, but basically this directness, this lack of of you would say manners, or even if the result is the same, they go to a hotel, they have sex. But, this one is addressed a little bit differently,
this is
in this,
social games. We have to play
social
certain
games.
games.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
know we play.
Yes.
But for the
All right,
record, this is
Masha.
not, I don't want to say anything good about Russia, but I have to, for the sake of, the truth.
Yeah, reading this, I felt like, come on, this is really an image that
What a
that
nice
is
place, then all men from all the rest of the world would just go to Russia to fuck,
yeah,
because,
exactly.
but this is not
Exactly. Oh, it's so
happening.
easy. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's so easy, right? Yeah.
no.
All right, Masha, we have to wrap up
Okay.
because I'm having a class. Remik is waiting. Remik, who you can also listen to in this episode. Click below.
Okay, so thank you, everyone.
Thanks a lot, Masha, for this fantastic conversation.
And this was another episode of the Thinking Out Loud podcast. Stay tuned for the next one. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Intellectual phrase. Bye, everyone.